When I was young, um, I started off with my mother. My mother and father broke up, and they were separated. And from after I hit about 12 years old, I started to rebel against my mother and stepfather, and I said I want to move in with my dad. So I moved in with my dad, and from about 13 years old to about 21, I was trained to be a criminal. They altered my moral compass to the point where I thought things that were wrong was right, and I thought that things that were right was wrong. So I was really confused, and I got into drugs at a very young age, and started off just smoking pot, taking mushrooms, and later got into methamphetamine and selling drugs, trafficking sex, just whatever I was trained to do, that's what I did to make a living. And so eventually I got in trouble with the law, and that's where really my true story starts, is after I got in trouble with the law. So I was in jail, and I called my mom, and I said, "Mom, I'm in jail, what do I do?" And she said, "Just pray," and hung up on me. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, just pray? I'm like, okay, thanks, Mom. All right, just pray. So early on, I was raised in a small Baptist church. And I went to the altar and cried, and I got saved when I was really young, but I turned away from it, and I didn't really have any clue what Jesus could do for me. So I decided to pray that night, and so I prayed that night, and it just so happened that my cellmate was a Christian. God put him there for me and told me where to start reading in the Bible, and because of my prayer and because of just that little tiny step of faith, God allowed me to have favor in the eyes of the judge, and allowed me to continue on with my charges that were more serious and drop my less serious charges. So I came up to Oregon to deal with my more serious charges, and I prayed again, and I asked the Lord for favor in the eyes of the judge, and He gave me that. So I got out of jail, and I went into rehab, and I did a few months of rehab and got kicked out, and I went to another rehab directly after that. After I got out of that rehab, the Lord called me to go back to my mother's house, who is currently living in Oregon. And I went back to my mother's house, and the conditions there weren't exactly ideal for me to continue my growth in the Lord, and I wasn't able to grow. So I found Dave and Christy Gramman. The Lord led me to Dave and Christy Gramman, and I volunteered myself to live out at their ranch, True North Star Boys Ranch and Academy, and volunteer my time there. And so a few months after volunteering my time there, I went to this class called Triumph Over Trauma. It's a seminar, and I learned a whole lot of information in a very small, short period of time, and it all just stuck with me because it was all to the point and straight, and it was, this is my life. Wow, this is my trauma, and these are my truths, and I was able to discover what was going on in my brain and how my moral compass had been altered. And I've been to the seminar twice, 3 times actually, since then. And every time I go, I learn something new because there's so much to it. I have a lot to say about Triumph Over Trauma because it's amazing. Anybody, I don't care who you are, you're going to benefit from Triumph Over Trauma because everybody in their life has trauma. And that means everybody. Whether you were raised up and born a Christian and if you were born on a pew, it doesn't matter. Triumph Over Trauma is for you because everybody has that something in their life that happened that they jump back to and go, oh, I don't want this to happen again. It happened this way once before and it's going to happen this way again. Well, that's not what God's truth is. God's truth is I got your back and I'm here for you and I'm going to stand for you. And I'm not going to let you fall again. And if you do fall, I'm going to pick you back up. Everybody has trauma, no matter who you are. And there's only one way to overcome it, and that's Jesus Christ. Since I've moved out to the True North Star Boys Ranch and Academy, and since I've been to these Triumph Over Trauma classes, and since I've been into the Word of God, and since I've had Jesus in my life, I have been able to get off probation early. I have been able to have a steady flow of work to fit my financial needs. I've been able to pay off my fines for my court. I've been able to develop healthy relationships with people who care about me and people who really honestly want to know how I'm doing. And I've been able to connect with a church body that is amazing. And I'm able to share my testimony with everybody. And I'm able to just walk through and be happy about life every day. I've had the opportunity to work with young men who are also suffering trauma and have suffered trauma. And most of all, I'm filled with this light and this compassion and love that I never experienced before, and I love it.